Speaking of stuff Palantir released this week, we also got this, which is super exciting. I want to play this 2-minute clip and get your guys' thoughts on Cathie talking to Sham.
What I'd like to end on is Alex says we will be the largest AI software. I don't know the exact words, but the largest or the most valuable, maybe that's what he says, AI software company in the world. Clearly, you have said that an incumbent like Microsoft is, in a very good position. So maybe just if you could end on that. When he says that, he says it with such conviction. And part of it is we've heard that Palantir understands the way technology is going to be in 5 to 10 years. Is it something in that next 5 to 10 years that is going to be the aha moment for people who just do not understand this story?
Well, in many ways, I think we think of ourselves as incumbents. So I should kind of clarify that in a sense where what we're talking about is, do you own the pixels that make the decisions and operations today? Or do you have the ability and the distribution to own those pixels and deliver on them? So the fact that within a week we can be working with net new customers to get production level use cases and capture their imagination, I think what we feel, the reason we are so excited is we feel like we have the elegant integration between the human thought, the LLM, and the algorithmic reasoning that's required to actually capture the market. Most folks are going to be stuck in one of these modes or the other, depending on where their platform has limitations. And so in that context, we can go incredibly fast. Many of the aspects of generative AI have meant that parts of our process that were a bottleneck are no longer a bottleneck, that we can reimagine aspects of how we go to market. Instead of doing what would have been otherwise historically really fast, a 6-week pilot, we can now do a 2-day pilot. You think about the opportunities that open up and how much more quickly our customers are able to take their technology and build their own use cases for themselves. So I think there's a lot of, there's probably like 5 or 6 components that feed into the intuition that Alex has, which I share, that really we can take the whole market.
So that was pretty cool. He mentioned Microsoft as an incumbent is going to have a favorable position in regards to AI in the future. And so Cathie says, well, if Microsoft is the incumbent and they're going to have a favorable sort of environment, what about you? And basically, Sham says there that I think we are a technological incumbent, even if we are not a business incumbent in the context of the market cap. We have the go-to-market strategy that can happen instead of 6 months and 2 days because we've been building this shit for 20 years. And like, this is our opportunity to potentially take the market because we're the incumbents when it comes to actually implementing AI infrastructure. Dom, what were your thoughts on the whole interview, if you got a chance to watch it?
Yeah, I took a lot of notes. I have my notes right here. So isn't it so cool to think about where we were 2.5, 3 years ago and all the things we were saying we wish what Palantir would do? And I'm not saying we have influence by any means, but it's awesome that they are executing to a lot of the complaints that we had brought up. And I think that they were very self-aware. I think Alex is talking at an extremely high executive level, that the type of Wall Street talk that they want to hear, but yet he's still staying true to himself. I think that the going from a 6-week POC to a 2-day boot camp and being able, and I tweeted it out earlier this evening, a 5-day boot camp and being able to produce a production application for your business. I mean, are you serious? Like, get out of here. Like, for anyone who actually knows this industry, and I live in this industry, that's unheard of, right? And then once you go through the I can't plug it enough, the learn.palantir.com, when you truly understand the ontology, it's mind-blowing how Microsoft, Google, Snowflake, Data, none of them have that. I talked to CodeStrap last night, and he said that Snowflake's doing a couple different things to kind of try to do some read-write back access to the source data with Snowflake, but it's still not like an ontology. They got 10 to 20 customers in these boot camps, okay? And they have 400, 450 total customers, somewhere in there. I haven't checked it recently. So you think about, that's a big impact, right? If you're getting 10 to 20 customers in each boot camp. He said we're doing boot camps in Chicago, Tokyo. I just checked on Twitter. There was just one they just finished in Dallas. They're also putting current customers with new prospects in these boot camps, which is a best practice among the SaaS business. So I mean, the fact that they're getting the sales motion down to saying, you know what, we just need to get hands on keyboards and everything else will work out from there. That's what we've been saying, right? Give a free tier, give a freemium, get people to understand what this truly means. And then you look at the different, in the interview, you talked about the different ROIs. Tell me another software company that can literally say, hey, this warranty claims company, we helped them build a Copilot in 2 weeks, and now they save 4 hours per employee per day, right? Like, what? You know, large European insurance claims agent, they built a whole new sensor agent in 2 days. Like, these are the kind of things that you can't disprove, right? If you can quantify real return on investment in a software product and they can see the residual cost savings, your CEOs are going to keep writing checks to those companies because the outcomes are being delivered. And that's why when Karp says there's very few software companies that build actually software that deliver alpha, he's right. Like, there's very few that are very solutions focused and concepts focused. And that's the whole piece of the ontology and the data sets, is that they all around use cases and business concepts. So they're slowly but surely doing this in these different industries. And the beautiful thing is they get faster and better with each POC because you already have a framework. Does that make sense?
100%. 100% it makes sense. Arnie, your thoughts on this interview?
Well, Cathie was saying when there will be the haha moment, but I think she was just having a aha moment from her expressions. Related to exactly what Sham said about you need to be already in the pixels of the clients. Basically, if you are already having a relationship with a client, it gets easier to expand these tools. But if you just build models, then you have also to think about how can I reach all these new clients. And the competitive space is getting very competitive on that side, while the segments where Palantir is the one that creates the most value. So basically, if you use ChatGPT or the other like Cloud or whatever, Llama, I mean, at the end of the day, that's not the key differentiator. The key differentiator is in how you actually deploy that model to actually do something interesting. Shem, in another part of the interview, said a specific phrase. Nothing in AI creates an advantage in distribution. So Palantir, on the other hand, being already the operating system with which operators interact with, they don't interact directly with a model. Like, the model is the interface, but to reach that interface, you need an application like Palantir. So Palantir is perfectly set to capture this. And as Dom mentioned, the Palantir that we studied 2 years ago was a very different Palantir than we are seeing right now. We are in this weird spot where if we are close enough, we see that dramatical change. We don't see that yet completely in the numbers. We have started seeing gap of profitability, all the stuff that happened, but we don't see the revenue growth because we are still in the acquiring phase, an acquiring phase that started very, very, very slow. I also made the statistics from the PDFs that we're making. Every time they release a new PDF on how getting started with Palantir, the time was shrinking, and now it is so fast that is a matter of days. So that kills the bottleneck that Palantir was having, the problem that kept the number of customers relatively slow. And another sentence that Shem said that I think it was really important about the new customers, the existing customers. Do you remember when Karp said we're getting 100 customers in 5 months, last month 50 new customers? There was the question, okay, but are them existing clients that just make the upgrade, or new customers? I mean, that's an important question, but we didn't have the data. And Shyam said, within a week, we are working with net new customers to get production level use cases in a week. That sentence is, we approach someone new in a week, not 1 month, 6 months, 12 months like before. We deliver something that actually works. And that is crucially important for also what Shyam said at the beginning, that makes a clear understanding on why Palantir is not only software, but also they have a very different approach from actually what typically software, consultancy firms offer. Consultancy firms typically offer big data integration projects. Dom, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's also what I heard here and there. What Palantir does is the opposite. Start small. Start very, very small from a pain that afflicts you. If we can solve that, and we can solve that by focusing exactly on, okay, but what's the decision that can alleviate that pain? Then we can know, okay, so in order to alleviate this pain, you need to have these data sets. And these data sets needs to be very integrated. These are the key elements that I need to solve now. So let's focus on integrating these key data and alleviate that pain. Alleviate that pain means value generated. That can be time, can be money directly, can help efficiency in selling. So basically, you create monetizable value with a very, very small fraction. The counterpart is I create a big data project that integrates all the data of the company. Okay, cool. It takes 1-2 years, and once you have done it, then new data is emerged, and then your data integration goes to shit again. If you start small, on the other hand, by the decision, like how Palantir does, you create immediate value that creates also monetary impact and also the satisfaction for the client saying, oh, actually, I'm creating value from this. Let's expand a little bit more. And that's how Palantir starts very small and then gradually expand. And I think the fact that it is after 2-3 years that typically Palantir clients expand very much is the output of this reasoning. Because you start relatively small, and then once you have a confidence, holy shish, this company is helping me saving a really lot of money, then I can drop very bigger contracts.
Right.
And sorry if I'm getting it.
No, you're good. That was great.
But there is also another concept that I failed to mention in the recap I shared that seems very interesting. Once you have your ontology set, you have a clear representation of your company. Palantir mentioned that even internally, they use their own products. That is good to hear. Skin in the game, eat your own food. But apart from that, Shyam said, once you have the ontology set well, then you can have a very specific output, and you can have all the recommendation engine targeted to solve that specific output. Meaning, are you seeking profitability? Okay, now I make a shift in the entire organization based on what the algos tell me, the recommendations tell me I could operate. So basically is set the objective function, and based on that, all the algos that are strictly connected with the ontology can recommend little decisions that push you in that direction. So here I'm a bit speculating, but I think it is strictly connected. The fact that we have seen Palantir numbers, so far the financial numbers changing so much in relatively little time. Remember, 1 year ago we were deeply gap negative. 2 years ago, when Palantir was listed, Palantir was free cash flow negative. Okay, the evolution that has been there in these 2-3 years is not insane more. And now we are even gap profitable and set to capture a very, very big growth opportunity while the distribution bottleneck has been eased. So overall, I think this was one of the best interviews we have been hearing. Not only because a big institutional investor, like her or not, was really surprised, and I wouldn't be surprised if now she dropped some very big bombs in terms of number of shares, but also because we see the evolution of the company and the management of the company. I think Shyam was brilliant here.